So guys, these APC members will not stop amazing Nigerians. This man came to Arise Television for an interview session, and guess the first thing he said? He said, thank God Dr. Abati was not part and parcel of those who were going to interview him. He started applauding the Arise TV management to have excluded Dr. Abati from this interview, and guess what? Rufai gave him the best boost of his life. Take your time, watch this video, and let me know what you think of these APC people, the way they carry themselves and the way they talk, without restraint. Take your time and watch this video. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell notification. Take a look.
We must have to say a couple of things. Number one, first and foremost, Dr. Abati did not leave because of the fact that Larry Olayinka, was coming here. We have to restate that. He was indisposed. He couldn't make it here. He called in sick. Number two, all your allegations against him are unsubstantiated, and he has a right of reply. And he will also take his right of reply when it comes. And it is not fair to cast aspersions about a man and say things you do not know. So you thanking Arise TV for not putting Dr. Abati here, that's untrue. That's not a fact. That's not a statement of fact. He called in sick and is indisposed. And he will get his chance to be able to talk back. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll interface more. Okay, very well. Welcome back to the morning show. Some things I need to set straight. Dr. Abati did not leave the show because Arise TV told him not to come today. He was indisposed and he called in sick. That assertion that he didn't come because you were coming here is totally false. Secondly, all the allegations placed against him can't be substantiated, and he has the right to be able to respond to all of this. Thirdly, please let me speak. Mr. Larry Olayinka, you would let me speak. You have been speaking for so many minutes here. You will let me speak, please. And I insist on that right. Secondly, the right of reply was between Wike and Rotimi Amechi. And I think it's best issues like that are focused as a right of reply based on that. Not this casting of aspersions about people that are not here to speak for themselves and saying things that are not true and do not hold water. So it will be best for you to moderate yourself and speak to the issues as regards the right of reply. I am still speaking. I am still speaking, Mr. Olayinka. So please, I want you to focus on the right of reply of what transpired between your boss and Amechi. That's the focus of this issue, and not attacking people that are not here to defend themselves. That's the only decent thing to do. Go ahead.
Are you done speaking?
Go ahead, please.
When your Ruben Abati was in that studio, calling Wike, saying Wike was a rude person, was Wike there to defend himself? Was Wike there? So if he's not here, he will also hear what I'm saying and come as spokesperson to Amechi to also defend himself. Again, Oseni Rufai, stop behaving like you know everything. You are not a spirit. The allegation I made is against Ruben Abati, not you. Listen.
No, but I have a right to speak up for my colleague. I have a right to speak up for my colleague.
You have a right. You have a right to speak for your colleague.
Yes.
You don't have the
we
right.
are a team on this show.
You don't have a right.
We are a team.
You don't have a right. You don't have the right. You say even if you are a team, you don't have a right because we are not in the zoo. Ruben, we are not in the zoo.
Mr. Olayinka, with due respect, maybe one of these days we'll talk about your own 20 million fraud allegations that you had to go back and forth to court for. Maybe we'll talk to that. Your own 20 million fraud allegations. Allegations against you too.
20 million allegation. I went to court. I went to court myself, and the case was struck out, dismissed. The case was dismissed. If I knew that you were going to talk about it, I will bring the court judgment. And that is why I say, so go and do a 2 or 3 weeks course in journalism so that you will know. You will not come to a TV station to begin to talk like you are a lawyer, using words like I put it to you. Like somebody is a court of law, you are doing cross-examination. I put it to you. I put it to you. This is a conversation, not an interrogation. You should also begin to act like human being that you are supposed to be. What I'm saying here is that I made allegation against Rufai Abati. Let him come and defend it. You are not the one to say that the allegation is lie. He says it's false. It's true or not. Because you are not the person. Were you with him when he went to Wike? Were you with him in the EFCC custody? Were you with him? You were not with him now. So stop behaving like you know everything. Is it not you that you study animal anatomy?
So
that you are supposed to be doing it.
What is wrong in studying animal anatomy?
Okay, Mr.
Can you show us your own certificate from the school you went? Show us your own certificate.
Documentary on animal now.
The certificate is phony.
Guys, go and do documentary on animals and stop talking to human beings and let responsible person coordinate this program, not you. Not somebody who was convicted for breaking traffic offense. Not somebody like you. You come to station, you come to TV station and begin to do.
Mr. Lere Olayinka, if I may interject at this moment, we would like to have a productive.
Let me listen to you.
Mr. Lere Olayinka, please, sir.
Let me listen to you, I beg.
Please, sir.
We
want to have a productive.
Talk to me. Talk to me.
Sir,
Larry,
please.
I'm not an animal.
Let's not.
And you should retract your statement.
Rufai, please. Let's not.
I'm listening to human.
We will not allow this conversation to degenerate into personal insults, defamatory territory, and so forth.
Station when Abati was calling, Wike was saying Wike was rude.
Mr. Lere Olayinka, based off of that, on this platform, we like to discuss issues that can move the nation forward, issues that pertain to governance and that pertain to.
He's clearly not here to talk about issues.
Mr. Lere Olayinka.
Mr. Larry, let's talk about
let's take away.
Provide your real.
Mr. Lere Olayinka, based off. Let's stick to the subject matter. The subject matter here is around conversations, not just those that take place on this table, but in the public space. And I believe you're here to speak to some of those allegations, some of those analysis and criticism that are being posed to your principal. So, sir, devoid of attacking any person or individual, please, can you help us to unpack and give us your response in defense in favor of your principal, not an attack on anybody who has spoken, because there has been criticism across the board. We cannot single out one individual who has critiqued your principal. So please, let's stick to the matters at hand. Your defense, sir, for your principal.
Thank you, my sister. You see, this is a conversation. You will also help me. This station, the anchor, including and yourself that you have spoken now nicely, you also help me to limit yourself to issues and stop addressing and saying on a live TV that a minister of Federal Republic of Nigeria is rude, is hubris. You should stop using words like that on people. Until you stop using words like that, you continue to have this kind of reaction from people who come to your station. So ask me a question now, I will answer you.
You've been asked questions in the past and you never answered them. We told you to talk about the tiff between Rotimi Amechi and Wike, but you never answered them. You kept on assaulting people and abusing people.
Talk
about the tiff. Talk about the tiff between Rotimi Amechi and Wike. Talk about the tiff between them. Do you understand what I mean by the tiff? Talk about the tiff between them.
Go ahead. Wike said, listen. Rotimi Amechi said on your station that he does not respond to children. And some of us look at him and laughed because this person that he referred to as a child was a local government chairman when he was member of House of Assembly. I want to commend the management, especially the chairman of Arise News. That's one of the leading lights in journalism profession in this country, the Prince Duke. I want to commend him. I want to commend him for today because I can see that. Mr. Ruben Abati is not here because I was not expecting him to be here because he took position of a special assistant on media to Rotimi Amechi. He took position of spokesperson to Rotimi Amechi. So I was thinking that to be professional, to operate normally, Ruben Abati will not be among those who will sit in the studio to interview me. I said that it will be on this side of the discussion this morning. So while I will be talking in defense or in support of the FCT Minister Wike, he will also be talking in support and in defense of Rotimi Amechi like he has been doing. And Allah has said that probably he has been appointed as a special assistant on media to Amechi because I watched him like 3 or 4 days ago here saying that, talking like the minister is rude, is this, and using unprintable words that I was not expecting to hear from somebody who has functioned as editorial chairman of Guardian newspapers.
Million jobs a year. That means at this year that we are, that's 2 years, that means you will have had 6 million. Probably Nigerians can be able to assess whether we have 6 million jobs being created. And that, of course, deals with the Nigerian youth, especially because that is the strength of the country. Then there's going to be health care for all. Health care for all. His Excellency Peter Obi visited a hospital very close to the airport here in Abuja. On your way to the airport, just by the left-hand side, there's a village called Tungam Alaji or so. You go to that particular hospital, there's only one nurse, no doctor. The maternity ward and all is completely dilapidated, and that is where he makes some donation of about 20 million naira in an instrumental basis to see he can assist. Just one nurse. Guarantee free education. Guarantee. It is not optional. They said guarantee. At the moment, most of the schools, you can bear me witness. How much do you pay for your child in going to school at the moment, right now? You know how much is it that you pay. Even in the public school, you can assess whether it is free or being made possible for your own, by your own payments. Urban renewal and housing. On my way to Zamfara the other day, most of the housing that they said they had, all of them, almost all the rooftop, you can visit some of the rooftop of some of the houses that have been provided. Take a look at indices. It's not rocket science. You can go behind your every state and confirm whether any of these particular housing are being provided for Nigerians as is well. Then they said that trickling poverty is safety net for every citizen. Every citizen, the issue of poverty, which is so excruciating at the moment now. I don't know how Nigerians can be able to manage to do Salah. And I know what happened in the last Christmas and all of that. So we are witness to a higher level of poverty rates. In fact, interestingly, the northern part of this country is the most worst hit. Talking about Zamfara, Kebbi State, Kanu State, and Jigawa State, rated as the highest poverty state in the country, possibly in the world, as the way it is. So I don't see anywhere in which poverty has been alleviated in Nigeria at the moment now. Keeping Nigeria safe. We just saw what happened in Taraba State. Nigerians are being killed like chicken on a daily basis. And even some of the things that are happening as issue of saving. Like now, His Excellency Peter Obi just visited Mokwa. We had a flood. Yes, somebody would have said, but probably there was some safety net or being provided or information or guidance being provided before the people were being submerged by that particular flood. Thousands of people have lost their lives. Sports and culture. At the moment now, Nigeria is at the verge of almost not qualifying for the World Cup. Right. So, but no thanks to the Unity Cup. Thank you for those particular boys who did a big job. But when you come to issue of preparation, of winning or getting things done for Nigeria as is done in a developed country or developing country, believe me, we have a lot of questions to answer. Secondly, now, the issue of recovery. If you can hear me, Mr. Tanko. Recovery.
If you can hear me, your assessment is not in doubt. Let's allow Mr. Moka to respond to some of the things that you have said. Mr. Moka.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much. Well, I'm a bit surprised that my good friend is reading out of a document he ascribes to APC as a manifesto. But even at that, even if that were a manifesto, everyone knows what a manifesto means. A manifesto is a broad statement of vision, of aspiration that a party puts forward as, guiding principles and guiding philosophy for its engagement in politics. Now, the program of a president, who wins an election is somewhat, yes, informed overall by a manifesto, but it's a program that is specific, that's somewhat, measurable and achievable. That is not what my friend has referred to, but, I don't think I want to dwell on that. The fact of the matter is that this president was elected for a 4-year term. And we're sitting here attempting to make a review of performance in 2 years. I think we need to be very conscious of the fact that that's what we're discussing. A mid-term, assessments as you framed it. Now, if, anyone is under the illusion that in 2 years that an elected government in our country, like anywhere else in the world, would deliver all of its even more specific goals, objectives. That doesn't happen. There's a reason that the framers of our Constitution allotted a 4-year term to the president and other elected officials to perform. Because in the overall assessment, from comparative understanding of governance, it is clear that a particular gestation is needed for people to think policy, develop implementation frameworks, and actually perform on those objectives. 2-year assessment is fine. But I think that even at that, in the 2 years of this president, I think that, everywhere you look, you see evidence of, really inspiring accomplishment against the backdrop of the circumstances that we faced and continue to face at the inauguration of this president. Now, I think that a lot of the discussions, whether it's stated or not, revolves around, the president's twin flagship policies, namely the removal of, fuel subsidy and the harmonization of, multiple exchange rates. You see, I listen and I go around also, making my contribution when I'm invited. But I have not heard anyone really stand up to vigorously canvass what might be the alternatives to these two policies in the context of our economic realities. Prior to 2023, everyone knows that this country, even before 2023, for decades, quite frankly, but we have been dealing with, complex, generationally created, crisis in our country. That has denied us progress and denied us, but this president did what no other president before him had the audacity or the political will to do. Because those are not policies you make without attendant, unpopular consequences. And of course, without repercussions for the, livelihoods and the cost of living impacts on our people. Which is why many of the presidents before this president shied away from it. Yes, the people protested, Mr. Jonathan tried to do it, people protested and he buckled. If he buckled, listen, I have a lot of respect for President Jonathan, but it also means that he didn't quite have that degree of political will to decide what was in the best interest of Nigeria. So I don't think that should be blamed on those who protested, rather than the man who raised his right hand, took an oath to uphold the Constitution and to do the very best he's able to do for the country. Look, all I'm saying is that this president is on track, because no one, I've not heard anyone articulate, nobody in the coalition, the so-called coalition, has articulated alternatives. As a matter of fact, all of those who contested for this office in the coalition, namely Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, Mr. Peter Obi, campaigned on the promise to Nigerians to also remove fuel subsidy and float the naira. Now, there is no romantic way to remove a system of dependency that people have been accustomed to without discomforting them. There's no way to do that. There's no way that none of them has come to say this is how we could have done it, and everybody will be like, still living like we are eating bread and butter every day. Look, but the point is that those short-term challenges will dissipate and are already dissipating with time, and the true purpose and the true impacts and benefits of these reforms are becoming self-evident. You can see all of the indicators. Our economy has never grown as it did in the last quarter of last year. Our foreign exchange reserve has gone from where it was, barely, 6 billion to now, upwards of, 30-something billion. Our balance of payment, surplus has never been this good. Local industries are picking up because imports has declined. We're exporting more than we're importing, which for the first time in a long time. So look, I think if we want to be honest, yes, things are not perfect today, but they were never perfect in the last, 20, 30, 40 years. And, but is it about perfection or about, evidence-based, programming that shows that we're making progress? I think that's really the standard we should focus on.
Mr. Moka, I'll allow Mr. Tanko to also respond to some of the things you've raised. I know we've had this conversation about some of these numbers. And I'm happy you have said that there will be immediate consequence. And this is why you will keep answering this question. Yesterday, you answer it today, you answer it tomorrow. Because of two basic things. People are feeling the consequence of the action. The president says he knows what he's doing. There is an undefined destination. There is a hopeful destination, not really a defined destination in that sense. So we have seen a few things as far as the numbers are concerned that are encouraging, but the social impact is what is the biggest problem as to how this should have been done in terms of sequence or not. And we've always said that the balance of trade, for instance, is debatable, even though the facts are right that it's in surplus. But that's what happened when you deregulate, when you look at all of the curves in economics as far as things like this are concerned. But let's leave that. Let's come to you, Mr. Tanko. He's made a very strong point. He said he's listened attentively, he's spoken on panels that he's been invited to, that the coalition is busy talking about power grab, but putting up an alternative idea as to how this should have been done, because they at least all said they'll remove fuel subsidy. As to the harmonization of the exchange market is a different kettle of fish. What could have been done differently if you were to respond to Mr. Moka?
Oh, thank you very much. Ab initio, I made it clear that I am the leader of the obedient movement, the coordinator. At the moment now, the coalitions will have its own structure and those that will respond to it, but I've been at least been part of it in a way. So I can say authoritatively from our point of view, when you're talking about an inflation rate of about 34% in terms of income and expenditures of Nigerians, you don't need anybody to tell you whether this government have done good or not. All you need to do is just visit your kitchen. Go to your own respective kitchen. I'm not talking about I'm not separating it from anybody, including those in government. They can go back to their kitchen and look at what they are able to get or purchase at the moment now and compare it with what they would have had before. They will have seen the vast difference. Or they should ask their wives, when they go to the market, what they give them to make purchase with, and they can now compare and contrast. You will see a dwindling economy in the system. And these are facts. You don't need to be told. So when you make comparison as regard to balance of trade and all of that, you are not making it in the way that affects the Nigerian people's life. As we speak today, a average RAM, I'm making indices of practical position right now, will cost you nothing less than 2 to 3 or 400,000 naira. Eunice Tonko, in the last 1 or 2 years before the Salah, I bought a RAM at 54,000 naira, equal size or even bigger. This is the practical situation. But we are saying in a different way that, okay, why don't you invest in our agricultural system? Even though in part of their reforms, they said they are going to be agricultural reform, we have not seen any. Investment and borrowing rate has reached skyrocketed high level, which has affected the country. And then you are talking about how you can generate funds for the country. You are talking about the security of the country. You are talking about the level of unemployment that affects the every life of Nigerian citizens as we speak. There is no comparison to tell me that probably this government is doing well. Look, when we speak, we are not speaking as if we are antagonizing the government. They should take it as a free consultancy and do one thing out of the so many things that we have mentioned. As an opposition, it is our duty to make sure that we explain to the people some of the things that the government is doing wrong. And when we say this, the government is expected to take a cue from it. When you speak about manifesto, the manifesto of the party is the social contract. There's no second to it. If another candidate use another manifesto on his own side, that is in his own personal manifesto. Come to talk about the issue of subsidy. As of today, this subsidy that was said to have been removed, it didn't pay through the back door. It didn't pay through the back door on a continuous basis. And so where is the justification? The major problem that this particular government has is the inability to tell the Nigerian people the truth.
All right.
Nigerians won't kill you when you tell them the truth, but don't meander, don't manipulate. Let them know exactly what their situations are. Don't run away from answering questions, because that's what makes you a government. So as of today, the inflation rate has reached its astronomical high. Unemployment rate is so high, the Nigerian people cannot be secured from going to point A to point B. And then at the same time, the basic indices of survival in this country is at all-time low. And then we keep on meander and manipulating and saying probably this government is doing well. Obviously, no, sir.
Well, Mr. Tanko, let me come to Mr. Moka now to get his response. And here's the thing, Mr. Moka. So we've seen the coalition, former minister, for example, Rotimi Amechi, saying he's hungry. And we've heard Mr. Peter Obi saying, well, he's in coalition against hunger and poverty. So it looks like somehow there is this common thread amongst either the opposition or coalition. They're coming together, or at least they're speaking against hunger. And you know that once they're able to resonate with the people, that's going to be a major threat to your party, either a re-election at the federal level or at the state level. So he has said that you're not telling the people the truth. So speak to us about this. Aren't you concerned that these are real issues and people will resonate with the coalition or opposition, call it whatever, and maybe vote your party out?
Well, thank you, my good friend. You know, when my friend was speaking about RAM and the cost of RAM, in my head, I'm like, well, if that's the cost of RAM, I think, you know, I need to find time and, you know, go back to Delta and, you know, try somewhere to set up a farm to raise RAM and, you know, sell for 200,000 or so that he says RAM goes for today. Look, you know, anyone who understands basic economics knows that in an economy where there's, you know, real reform going on, what this is doing is actually giving incentives to people to produce and to get rewarded for their production. You know, yes, the 200,000 that RAM may sell for today, somebody who is producing RAM is, you know, that's income to that individual or group of persons who are engaged in, you know, RAM farming. And, you know, the whole idea of the reform is to stimulate local production, bring, you know, increased income to those who are productive, and discourage imports. Critically, that is a formula that is, you know, undeniable, that, you know, for economic growth and stability. And, you know, that formula is not different from, you know, our country. Now, to come back to your question, now, because, you know, Amechi or anyone else, whether it's Peter Obi or anyone else, declare that there's hunger in the land, doesn't mean that Nigerians, all Nigerians, are, you know, are naive enough to simply take that without any context. When anyone makes this casual comparison, you know, oh, you know, the yam or rice used to be, you know, X amount, 20 years ago, and it's, you know, X, you know, Y amount today. You see, that is just being disingenuous. Because, you know, you are discussing an era or a period in our economic history where the value of our currency was simply dictated. It was not, you know, based on any sort of sensible, smart, economic, market-determined, you know, value of the naira. So yes, if, you know, look, you know, let me say this for our people who are at home. What do you think it would take for Mr. President today to declare that, or to, you know, in consult with the CBN and other agencies of the federal government, to declare that today, you know, Nigeria will now peg the value of the naira to 1 naira to $1? What do you think it would take this president? You know, if he were to do that, I bet you that this conversation will shut down. All of this, you know, birthday parties that people, you know, put up to, you know, lampoon the government will shut down. They'll be out of business. And that will almost, you know, guarantee this president, you know, a smooth landslide, you know, victory into his second term. But other presidents have done that. They've dictated the value of the naira. But this president is saying, no, for the long-term good health of our country, I won't do that. So when people say that things are more expensive today, well, yes, in relative terms they are. But, you know, the growth that these reforms will, you know, will introduce and sustain in the economy, we produce the good that ultimately will not only lower prices, we make, you know, goods and services more available and more affordable. That is the pathway of any country that's reformed. And I think, you know, for us who are in the studio, you know, my good friends who are, you know, having this conversation, I think we shouldn't really take hook, line, and sinker some of this framing of the conversation. You know, as, you know, mighty men and women of the pen, we must also interrogate those who make these allegations. For instance, when Amechi says he's hungry, you know, Amechi must be interrogated. What does it really mean? Does it mean he's struggling to provide food, you know, at his table? Or is he hungry for something else? As I said in my statement, is he really, you know, food he's hungry for, or hungry for, you know, I mean, just, you know, naked power, because he's accustomed to, you know, having power over nearly half a century of his life. Amechi just turned 60. For 25 years, about 25 years of his life, meaning that, you know, from the age of 35, this, you know, man that young, was already a dependent on state resources. And, I don't see a commensurate, impact that Amechi has made, whether as speaker or as governor or as a super minister, to, again, demonstrate 25 years of, this opportunity to make changes. He talks about how he was, his passport was taken in Germany and all of that. You see, when an ordinary Nigerian says that, I can relate. But when Amechi, who has had the opportunity to really, put down his footprint, whether it's, in pushback against poverty or in accelerating development in our country, didn't do so, is the one lamenting, like, this ordinary Nigerian who traveled to Germany and had experience at the airport. I am not impressed. And actually, that's actually very disappointing for a man of his standing to, come in public to make those kinds of statements. Look, I am also, a democratic operator. I was one of those who fought hard for our democracy. So yes, he was a former governor, he was a former minister, but some of us were in the trenches.
Well,
we were willing to lay our lives down.
Pardon me, quickly to follow up.
In defense of our democracy.
Are you saying that all that Mr. Amechi has was gotten...
And you all also need to interrogate this, individuals.
Mr. Moka, can you hear me?
Say so, just because, not because they're in the opposition.
Yeah, just quickly, before my colleague comes in, I need to get clarification on what you said.
Yes.
Are you saying that all that Mr. Amechi has was amassed from government, from public funds?
I have not said anything like that. All I've said is that as a public officer for nearly 25 years, 24 years, to be specific, that Amechi has been in office and therefore has been a beneficiary, consistent beneficiary for nearly a quarter of a century of government, patronage and, living off of the, benefits of his office. Even if it's just his salary, that's a man who has been employed consistently for 25 years. And I'm saying that, there's no commensurate show of what he has contributed to tackle poverty in this country, to tackle hunger, and certainly to bring Nigeria to development like the president is, criticizing, has done in 2 years. He hasn't even done anything close to that. That's my point.
All right, Mr. Moka, that's your statement comes in quite heavy, and one could ask as well that if these assertions and insinuations are being made from your statement about the lifestyle of ministers, of a minister in a past administration, should we assume that that's the lifestyle of ministers, regardless of the administration that they're under? But perhaps we'll have time to expand this conversation further. Let's come to you now, Mr. Tanko, and ask about very real issues within the Labour Party. Mr. Peter Obi's ally, Obaze, has resigned from the Labour Party over disagreement of the Anambra primary. We've also seen the diminishing ranks of Labour Party members as well at the National Assembly level. And this is impacting, whether you like it or not, on the chances of the party in the next election, especially, the presidential election. I'd like you to speak to permutations about the All Progressives Congress coercing other elements to come to their party. Would you say that this is responsible for members of your party leaving your party as well?
Well, probably let's put it in the context. The name that is reigning now is about the one-party state. And I laughed because we have seen political parties who attempt to ensure that they emasculate other political parties and call them smaller political parties and move in some individuals into their party. Of course, what will happen in the very shortest period of time will be an implosion, which is already started because I heard that some of the persons who have run to the ruling party at the moment are being told that there's no automatic ticket for them. And so what you expect in the next few days or few months is a lot of people who are not happy with the situation, and then they will be looking for an exit point or provide a damage in between. So with regard to what we are doing, we are trying as much as possible to cover up all the loopholes, and that is where the enabling environment would give room for all of these. The Electoral Act must be challenged. The Electoral Act being challenged in such a way that it will make it seamlessly fair to all. And this represents the area of how people move from party A to party B without recourse to the fact that they actually, run election on party A at the first place. So meaning that the Electoral Act must be rejigged in such a way that anybody that wants to leave his own political party, which he has a right to do, but he will leave that political party and leave the seat at the same time. When you leave the seat, if you are popular, go back and canvass for party B. And that Electoral Act must be rejigged rejig in that manner. And at the same time, it is also important to have a proportional representation, because what you see in the system at the moment now is that a winner-take-all syndrome. And that is why it is easy for the party in position of power now to meander, enforce, intimidate, and probably coerce individuals into their party. I can tell you for sure, majority of the people that are moving to party A and party B, as the case may be, are not doing it in their own interest. It's either some of them have a case of EFCC, or either some of them has a corrupt issue that is tied against them, and then the government of the day, of course, in trying to enrich himself with a lot of individuals, we just need to flash some of those particular documents at your face, and then you will come singing the name of the next the political party. So they will go there and probably thinking that they'll end up being a saint. But they forgot one thing: the majority of the people who are in the position of the voters card are seriously aware, and they know where to vote for. So it's a warning to anybody that is running from party A to party B to know that the electorate knows exactly who they will vote for, and they will vote for a candidate that they know that will protect them. So inevitably what I'm saying here is that we need to have a serious reform as regards to the Electoral Act to make it work. You can't imagine when you have a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria or a member House of Representatives, now you won a seat, then you now look in the eye of the people and tell them, I'm no more part of you. Meanwhile, you've stolen their mandate. So it is wrong, ethically wrong, and intoxicating to our democracy. So for those of us who have been consistent in terms of defending of democracy, it is not for us only, it's for the future. And I can tell you for sure, I have been witnessing some of the people who have left that political party, one political party to another, came out and complained that it was a fundamental mistake that they made. And then time will tell, because the election will soon come, and the people will vote another person that they feel can protect their interests. So in a middle way, the Electoral Act must be rejigged in such a way to protect the integrity of our democracy and make it more flourish. But at the moment now, this particular government is trying to kill democracy with this issue of one-party democracy that they're trying to protect. Anyway.
All right, Mr. Tanko. Let me stay with you for a moment before I go to, if we have time, go to Mr. Moka. So one of the things that Mr. Moka has been trying to, which I'm telling him and I've told him over and over, they will continue to defend the policy of this government till as long as people are feeling the pain. Because some people don't understand it, some people may understand it. The fundamentals may be looking right, but the compounded effect has not trickled down to the ordinary person. So what they try to do, for instance, in economics, something called the Govt theory, when you devalue your currency in that instance, things get worse and then get better if all the fundamentals are right, because it changes consumption pattern, where things are not cheaper for foreigners to buy in our country and forcing us within our country to buy our own product. The one who don't have things like power and all of that, those are the fundamentals that can defect or deflate whatever reform this government is pushing forward. I said that to lay a foundation to my next question to you within 1 minute if you can answer. If you were in government, your principal was in government, Peter Obi, who has also said he's going to remove fuel subsidy or PMS subsidy in that sense. And if you had done that and removed it, and where we are right now, people are crying and say this is getting too much. What would have been done differently?
Let me allude to this fact. Do you know that we have over 20 million Nigerians uneducated? Do you know the level of hunger that is rating in Nigeria is so astronomically high, which we've already mentioned, with statistics? We're not talking about with statistics. Now, you talk about what will a Peter Obi do differently. He has said it right from the beginning, that you are not going to go borrowing for money that is not going to be not subsidized for production. The key issue is about production. Production, as we are speaking now, some people are saying that we are producing. I don't see anything that we produce as a country. One thing, just let me know, what are we exporting as a country? What? Virtually nothing. So we invest in something that can be more productive. He is talking about a constant production of agricultural product. He looks at the area and the arable land in the northern part, and he mentioned this yesterday. Even he mentioned it to the government in government house in Niger State. He said Niger State alone is more than Netherlands, and Netherlands is producing output of agricultural product that double or triple what we make as oil in Nigeria. So why don't we invest seriously in agriculture in terms of both livestock and physical? When we invest in agriculture, we will have things that we can export, and then it will at least dwarf what we are depending on in oil. So the actual issue is that he will invest in production of agricultural product. That's just one state out of the 19 states.
Okay, Mr. Tanko.
So guys, when people say believe the APC at your own risk, I think it's becoming very clear to Nigerians that APC cannot be trusted. You can't trust them, you know. You've seen what the APC man who is a speaker or a spokesman for Wike, all the buzz, you know, between him and Rufai. He came on Arise Television instead of him to take the questions as a mature man. He began to comment that, thank God, Dr. Abati was excluded from that interview because of him. I mean, he was trying to say that the Arise TV management removed Dr. Abati from that interview because he was the person coming to speak. So you can imagine that kind of allegation. So Arise TV is looking at faces. When someone is coming, they know who to be there and who not to be there. But it's good that Rufai tackled him, you know, because you can't just be leaving this APC. They come out and just do things and get scot-free. That is it. Now, let's move to Akwa Ibom to see what is happening. You must have heard that the governor has finally defected to the APC. And guess what? Some of his commissioners have already started resigning, because he said it, that anybody that's not going to defect or decamp with him should leave his cabinet, because he cannot be working for this party and you are in his cabinet and you're working for the other party. Nigerians have equally argued the kind of politicians we have today, people with no ideology. Like we say, we practice the kind of politics that the US does. But you see, in the US, no matter how bad things are going, it's difficult to see a Republican politician moving to, you know, the Democrats, or seeing the Democrat moving over to Republican, because these are two different parties with two different views, two different ideologies, and you know, it's not like what we see in Nigeria that you can attribute to hunger. These politicians, they don't want to be hungry. They don't want to taste what the ordinary masses have been going through. Now, look at what is happening. Even those elected on the platform of the Labour Party, they've all defected to the APC because they feel it's going to be easy for them to rig elections. You know, these were people that were voted easily by obedience. Now they've lost their trust in obedience. They believe moving over to the Tinubu's camp is an easy way to come back. But guess what? It's going to shock them that for the fact that they've left, they are going to lose their seats. They are going to lose the election, because nobody is going to... Remember, the Tinubu's government is not depending on legitimate votes to come back in 2027. No. They all know what happened in 2023, and that's what they are trying to replicate. But like we all know, obedience, we say that is not going to happen, because our eyes are going to be open to all the results. And INEC is going to be mandated to make sure results are transmitted real time as they promised in 2027. So it's not going to be like, you know, as usual. Now, let's take a look at this headline coming from Akwa Ibom State, and it says Akwa Ibom State Commissioner for Special Duty, his name is Ini Ememobom, resigns from Governor Eno. Eno's administration says he won't be able to defect to APC due to his personal conviction. Wow. Do we still have people like this? I think these are the kind of people that, you know, even though he's a PDP member, I would just say that obedience should vote for someone like this. I think, you know, this man needs, if we have this kind of people around Peter Obi, people, when the going is bad, the going is good, I think we won't be having problems in Nigeria. If we can have people like this, wow. This man is earning so much respect. And I tell you, even though he's a PDP member, guess what? Obedience are already giving him that support. I'm going to be taking some of the reactions. These reactions are coming mainly from obedience members, you know. Like this one reacted and said Peter Obi triggered something in the next generation of leaders in Nigeria. These are signs. You know, this person is saying that, see, somebody like Peter Obi has made people to be convinced that leadership is not all about just you. And this is the problem we have in Nigeria. Our politicians, they don't have any ideology. They don't even know where they are standing. They just follow their stomach. You know, wherever they think the next meal is going, or the next bunch of money is going to come from, they are going to be loyal to that direction. Even though if the views coming from that direction is in opposite direction to the views they uphold. Now, this other person said, God bless him. He won't be put to shame as long in the long run. He won't be put to shame in the long run. Can we find men such as this in Nigeria politics? Wow, this is another person talking. He should contest for governor next election. Honestly, this man, any position this man wants, he can get it. I mean, obedience are ready to sacrifice for him. You know, these are the kind of people Peter Obi is talking about. When Peter Obi say, if you see somebody who you think is a good leader, vote for him even if he's not a Labour Party member. I think this is the kind of person. This person should just come over to Peter Obi's camp and contest or whatever post he wants. We have enough obedience to give him that position, provided rigging, if rigging can be stopped. You know, this other person said, now this is integrity and standing for what you believe, not all these chop politicians. And another person said, I'm super proud of this action. Keep your head up. Another person said, we still have honorable men. Another person said, commendable. I mean, these are the kind of people we need. See, I wish obedience should just ask this guy to a kind of decide for any position you want to run. Obedience will help you get there. You know, choose any position you want to run, you want to occupy in the next election or after the next election. Obedience will help you get there. And this other person said, commendable. Another person said, a true man, a rare man. Please wait a little. When the coalition is done, you will be the governorship candidate of Akwa Ibom, and we will vote you in. Honestly, now strategy. Leave some people behind to hold forth the new opposition. This way, you run both parties. But Mumu people, yeah, excited. You think politicians will leave PDP to rebuild and oppose him? Wanna no get sense. Anyway, this guy is saying that it's a strategy, that Eno cannot just pack everybody along. He will still leave some in PDP to be destabilizing the PDP the more. He cannot just pack all his people, because if he lives with everybody, nobody will be there to be causing wahala in PDP. So you can see the rottenness of our political space. It's really so sad. You know, it's really, really so sad. Another person say he would have used wisdom and stay mute in the midst of the wolf. Anyway, he doesn't want to be there, and he doesn't want to be there. This person is saying he would have just defected with the governor and just be silent and be monitoring what they are doing. Anyway, it's good he made his stance open on time. And this other person say he should join Peter Obi as soon as possible. He met all the obedience criteria for admission. Crown him. And another person said, a country where ideology. So guys, another news I want you to take a look at is the news about the guy from Adamawa State who tried to defend himself when Fulani herdsmen invaded his farm. He was able to seize one of their knives and used it on him. You know, they've handed him over a death sentence, and now the Supreme Court has upheld that judgment. Let's take a look at what senior advocates of Nigeria in the person of Michael Zekome has got to say. This headline says, breaking news, senior advocate of Nigeria and constitutional lawyer Michael Zekome has strongly criticized the Supreme Court's decision to affirm death sentence of Adamawa Christian farmer Sunday Jackson. Jackson was convicted of defending himself against a killer herdsman. The kind of judiciary we have in this country, when they tell you that Fulanis, no matter the fact that they are just few, but they wield so much power in this country. I'm telling you, you know, they wield so much power in this country. Now, let's take a look at some of the reactions. It's really so sad that somebody defended himself today. He's been asked to be tried. The Supreme Court justice should be ashamed of themselves for such judgment. This other person said this is sad, and the so-called apostles are silent. If it was on tight, you will see them. Honestly, the Nigerian Christian leaders don't speak up for Nigerians. This person say Fulani justice. What is this? Why is this not going viral? This person said this is very sad. Another person said this should explain to you what gave the Fulani kidnappers in Abraka Delta State the moral to attack communities, policials in a broad daylight, because their men were by policia. Policia might be the security outfit there. This person say Nigeria is a crime scene. So what the corrupt Nigeria system is telling me is that he shouldn't have defended himself. He should have he should have folded his hands while someone makes an attempt on his life. Make on the play. Let someone make an attempt on my life. If he or she lives to tell the story, fine. And this other person say, even if all the good nurtured residents of Adamawa do not want to speak out of fear, what about those of them who are Christians? The worst that can happen to them is death. This isn't to die, it's to gain. Why haven't they mount daily protest, petition human rights groups? This is really so good. What this person is saying is true. These Christians in Adamawa, they are just so silent since this guy was handed, even before Supreme Court ruling came out. This Nigeria is a joke indeed. So we are all allowed to defend ourselves, but we are allowed to be quiet. We are not allowed to defend ourselves, but we are allowed to be quiet, and the headsmen walk freely. Shame on the judge that delivered this judgment, and may their family experience pain and agony, honestly. Evil leaders build an evil nation of oppression, hunger, suffering, and terrorism. This is Nigeria. Kill one headsman, then sentence. Headsmen kill multiple, rehabilitation. Oh my God. This is really so touching, honestly. Really so touching. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts about this in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. Thank you.